Okay, first drill we'll do infield, we'll do some ground balls, fielding some ground balls, some backhands, some forehands, throwing to some different bases. As I have it set up is how we'll start. So what we'll do is we'll have all the kids down here on this end. They'll be in two lines. There'll be a bucket of balls in between them so that as they work their way up the line and get up here to take their turn, they can just grab a ball out of the bucket and perform the skill. And then loop back around and enter the line again. And another group of kids will be kind of coming through this line here. And one coach will be here catching balls from the kids and just putting it in the bucket to fill this bucket up. And another coach will be here catching the balls from these kids, just catching them and putting them in the bucket. And I got the sticks there for a reason. We'll go through a bit of a progression in terms of how the kids will field the ball. First one we'll get them to do is fielding, and what we'll get them to do is put their toes just behind the line. I'll bring these wooden dowels, and all they do is they step up, grab a ball out of the bucket, place the ball in their glove, bend down, and when you say go or when they're ready or however you want to organize it, they'll field the ball, that'll already be in their glove, but they'll field the ball, bring it into the center of their body. Some kids are gonna be more prone to wanna take their throwing side leg, their throwing side foot, and move it towards the other foot and then shuffle here and throw. Some kids might wanna step up over the dowel. Either one's fine, just as long as they're not standing up too tall and getting their shoulders all at an alignment and kind of at a balance. So when you say go, they'll just field the ball and make a throw from there to you right here. You'll just catch the ball, put it in the bucket, and we'll go through the whole bucket and we'll keep going. Because the next one I would want them to do is backhands. So rather than behind the line, they'll be kind of staggered about 45 degrees, and they'll be here again with the ball in their glove, and they'll pretend to field it, and then their rear foot will come forward and they'll step up and make a throw. That's the next one we'll work through. Then we'll switch and put them on a forehand. So again, similarly, they're kind of staggered 45 degrees. Balls in their glove, and they'll pretend to get one this way. This one's a little different because what we'll do is we'll get their leading foot, their throwing leg foot, to kind of drop back so they can field the ball and turn around this way. And then they might want to take an extra shuffle step to then make that throw. So they'll start there and just work their way through the line. Give each player 2 or 3 reps, 4 reps of each one, just so they can kind of get warmed up and remember the footwork of how it ought to be. After we get through that, we can then get rid of this bucket, and now we got all the baseballs here. And then each coach, rather than hitting any ground balls yet, we'll just start rolling some ground balls out to them. We'll take the sticks out of the way, and we'll have one player here either fielding or backhanding or forehanding, whichever one they feel is the most appropriate. Again, same way, one group of kids and one coach will be working here, one group of kids and one coach will be working here. And now, rather than starting with the ball in their glove, they'll actually have to collect the baseball and make a throw back to you, the coach. Then we'll break into where we're actually hitting them some ground balls. And the way I want to set that up is both coaches working out of the full bucket of baseballs here, empty bucket over there by first base. Coach here getting balls out of this bucket, hitting a ground ball to the third baseman. Third baseman is fielding and throwing across the infield to the first baseman. First baseman is just catching the ball, putting the ball in the bucket, and get one of the players from that group to be the first baseman, and they can rotate a little bit. The other side of the field is starting at second base. These kids are going to be throwing home on a ground ball that's hit to them by a coach that's on this side, working out of the same bucket, hitting fungos to the kids at second base. So let's go through that. The one group of kids that are throwing second to home can then rotate with the kids who are playing first and fielding from third. Switch them around so that everybody gets a chance to play first. The coach hitting ground balls from this side is probably going to have one of their players in their group in here catching with them and just feeding balls back to them. Hopefully we can go through this for about 15-20 minutes and all the kids can get some good infield reps. While that's going on in the infield, in the outfield, we'll have our other group doing a throwing progression, and then they'll get into a throwing catching game called Back 'em Up. Throwing progression, very simple. Let's progress a little bit further with each one of these steps. Again, not getting them throwing real far, because when they start to play the game, back them up, they're going to stretch it out a little further, hopefully. So the first step in that progression, they'll start toes facing to their target with their hands kind of in front of their chest, in front of their sternum, not too high, not too low. They'll break hands, palms down, turn their shoulders around, and then just throw to their partner. That'll be the first step in the progression. Second step in the progression, back up a little bit, and now we'll get them with their feet kind of as if they took a stride, but they're not stepping. Their glove side leg in front, their throwing side leg in behind, their toes still facing the target. Similarly, start with their hands in front of their chest, break hands, palm down, turn their shoulders around, and make a throw. But now since they got that leg in front of them, they can follow through with their whole upper body a little bit more. Next step we'll do, get them to back up a little further. Now they'll start still facing their target, toes facing their target, with their hands together. When they start to break their hands and turn their shoulders, they'll take a step and throw like that, couple reps that way. Next progression, now we'll get them to start sideways, squared up. So we're facing here, 90 degrees, facing here to here, toes, shoulders, hips facing that way. Again, with their hands in front of their chest, without stepping, just break hands, and now turn their body to go ahead and make their throw. Back up a little bit more. Next step, we'll put their feet together. Not totally together, but not too wide. Just kind of shoulder width apart. Now from here, lead foot comes off the ground, hands break apart, throw to your partner, and then the last progression we'll do, the furthest one that we do, but again, not too far, starting with their feet about shoulder width apart, rear foot moving first. We'll just get them to take a small shuffle step forward where their rear foot replaces the lead foot, a small shuffle, break hands, and throw. So that's the throwing progression we'll do. Then we'll get into a bit of a throwing game. I have the cones over there lined up as if they're kind of indicating or place holding for the fair foul line. So in partners, one kid will be on the fair foul line, and one other player, their partner, will be a certain distance away, whatever we determine that distance needs to be to start. All the pairs, all the little teams are lined up from the fair foul line, working their way out. So one partner is here with the baseball, their partner is there. Another team, partner is here with the baseball, player is here with the baseball, and their partner is out there. The next team, a player is here, and their partner is there, and we just spread out so they got a lot of space. On your verbal command, go, the kids from the fair foul line throw it to their partner that's out in the outfield a little bit. They have to catch the ball, secure the baseball in order to stay in the game. Once they have the baseball, all the kids on this side, you again will say go, and they'll throw the ball back to their partner. If a team successfully throws catches, that team gets to back them up. So they back up 2-3 steps. Now, again, on your verbal cue, all the kids from the fair foul line will throw the ball out to their partner. They have to catch, they have to wait for you to again say go, at which point in time they will throw the ball back, and again, they'll back them up. If it's a wild throw or one of the players drops the baseball, they're out of the game. They can just take a knee, but it's okay, because hopefully we get through the throwing progression in just a couple minutes, and then we get into the game, so we're gonna get a chance to play a couple games. You can choose to just let one team of kids stay as the same team, or you can choose to get them to switch teams, and the easiest way to do that is to get all the kids on the fair foul line to just stay put, but all the players on this side shift down one player, and the one player who's on the far end has to come around and join up with this player, and then we can play another round. Moving back, back them up. Once they get to the full base distance, let them know that now first base rule applies, in which case, as a ball is thrown, the player catching it has to kind of act like a first baseman, and they have to keep the 1 foot secure on the line. If they move their feet a bunch to go make a catch, or if they run way in to make a catch, then it wasn't a good throw. and just play as many rounds of that as we can. Hopefully that throwing progression and playing that game will take 15-20 minutes. Okay, third drill we'll do, it'll be off the main field. We'll be in the outfield on the other two fields somewhere. We'll find the most appropriate spot, and we'll be doing some outfield work. We won't use any baseballs. For the first part of this that I'm going to describe, we'll use these kind of rubbery softballs. They're really good because they don't get affected by the wind, but they don't really hurt. So the outfield drill will be split into two groups. One coach go with one group of kids, the other coach go with the other group of kids. The first one will be kind of just running left and right predominantly, working on catching a line drive, just working on our catching while our feet are moving. So the coach here will have this bucket of balls, these softballs. There'll be a bucket at each end, and the kids will start at this end or that end, whichever one you prefer. All you're gonna do is, with the bucket of these balls, ask the first player to take off or go or whatever, and as they start running, you're just gonna toss a little baby line drive, not much of a fly ball, more of a line drive, and as you kind of toss that ball, line drive out to them as they're running, they are simply gonna run across, make the catch, and then place the ball in that bucket. If they don't make the catch, go collect the baseball, put it in that bucket, and then that player waits on this side. Coach gets all the players to go from the one side, so they all get reps going in the one direction. Then once we're all here, coach will again send all the players going in this direction to make a catch over here, and place all the balls in that bucket, and then wait here on this side for their next turn to take their next rep. We can make it a small progression in terms of not just running left and right if you choose to, if the kids seem like they're able to kind of handle it and they're doing okay, rather than simply running left and right. We can move the buckets in a little bit, move both of the buckets in a little bit, and now rather than just running left and right, we can have the players kind of turning around and running a little bit deep to make the catch, and then come back in and place the ball in the bucket, and then when all the players have had their turn, from this side we'll break a little bit deep to make a catch, and then put the ball in that bucket. Just the same, if we're doing pretty good, both in terms of making catches and time, we could go a little bit deeper, and now we could have the players, rather than breaking left, right, or left, right, deep, now we can break left and right and make our way in to make a catch, and then come back here and place the ball in the bucket. So that's one half of the outfield drill. The other half of the outfield drill will be coach up here with a tennis racket and a bucket of tennis balls. This one will be a little bit bigger because we're going to actually hit them some fly balls with the tennis racket. The kids can kind of line up behind this empty bucket. One player will step up on this side and give a little bit of space. Coach will hit a fly ball to this player who will have to track it down, catch it, and put it in the bucket, go to the end of the line. And while that player on that side is tracking and catching that fly ball, coach can be getting ready to hit a fly ball to the player on this side who also has to make the catch, put the ball in the bucket. Going back in the end of the line, and if we get kind of efficient with this, we can be hitting the ball to this player, they can be in the act of catching it, and we can already be hitting a ball to this player. Let's get the kids to rotate from side to side so that they got an experience of maybe going a little bit more one way, a little bit more the other way. We're trying to not hit baseballs in the center around the bucket. We're trying to send the kids out in that direction. And similar to the tennis ball exercise, if we get a little bit efficient with it and the kids are going well, we can even bring the bucket in, and now we're getting them to kind of go back over their left shoulder, or kind of getting them to go back over their right shoulder, or starting them a little bit deeper, and now they're kind of breaking in and right, or kind of breaking in and left. So these two exercises will be happening at the same time, so you're not going to have 15-20 minutes to do each one of those. You'll have 8 or 10 minutes to do the line drive tosses, and then switch 8 or 10 minutes to work on the tennis ball fly balls. Okay, fourth drill that we'll do defense in the outfield, off the main field, and again, just like the outfield drill that we'll do, we'll find the most appropriate spot to do this. We'll just pick where the best spot is to go, because this is going to be a little bit more stretched out. We'll do 2 throwing relay drills, running relay drills as well. It's more like competition. Split your kids in half. One group of kids will be on one team, one group of kids on the other team. And you only have 8-10 minutes to do each one of these, because if we're going to take about 15-20 minutes for each station, split in half. Hopefully you can get a couple competitions of the one and then a couple competitions of the other. But the way we'll do one of them, you can see the four cones I have set up here, just indicating the 4 players on each of your teams or 5 players on each of your teams. We'll figure out depending on how many kids in each group. But it's very simple. There's going to be 1 player, 1 player, 1 player, 1 player, and then maybe 1 more player if there's a 5th. And remember, this is going to be stretched out much further. And it's just a throwing relay drill. And imagine that not only the one line of cones, there'll be another line of cones or group of kids lined up in the exact same distance, exact same way, just across from them, and they're competing against each other. So the way it'll start is all the teams will be lined up. Player right here has the baseball, just like on the other team. Player right there has the baseball, and when you say go, this player has to throw the ball to this player. This player has to catch, throw to the next player, throw to the next player, and when it gets to the end, throw it back, throw it back, throw it back. First team to get the ball back to here wins that round. You can do there and back. You can do there and back twice, there and back 3 times. However it works out depending on how well your kids can catch. One of the main rules about how this works, each player, as they're being thrown a baseball, each player has to secure the baseball. Whether that's a throw to them and they catch it and they throw it to the next player, or whether that's this player throws it to this player who actually misses it, that player over there can throw it back to this kid at this cone and then throw it back to this kid. So we can't have that player throwing it over the head of this player and then it goes there and it just continues on. Each player has to have the baseball secured with them for a moment. So this player accidentally makes a wild throw past this player. The next player can get the ball if they like and throw it back to this player here who has the ball for a moment, and then it can carry along the relay race. So that's the first relay race I'd like to do. The next one, similar, we'll have 1 team of kids going this way, 1 team of kids going this way, and you're gonna have 2 active players in this competition at a time. Have the other players that aren't active in the competition off to the side, because as the balls are being thrown here, we don't want any kid to get whacked. So the other players that aren't yet in the competition are a little bit off to the side. And the way it works is, 1 player starts here. When you say go, they have to run out to the first cone. On the first cone, there'll be a baseball. They have to pick up the baseball, throw it to the other player that's waiting at this cone. This player has to catch it, throw it back. This player here catches the ball, has to place it on the cone. Now you can choose to have them literally put it on this cone or just put it close to the cone. You can even turn the cone upside down and they just got to make sure it goes in there. But after the player here gets the baseball, throws it back to the start, and that player there throws it back to here. This player catches the ball, puts it down, runs to the further cone, picks up that baseball, throws it all the way back to that player. That player has to get the baseball, throw it back to here, put the ball in or around the cone, whatever you choose, run back, high five this player, and then that player who was the catcher takes off, at which point the next player filters in. And they just work their way through. An important thing to kind of keep in mind, the first player that is the runner to get the baseballs on the end has to come in and be the catcher for the last player that goes through the competition. So anybody who starts does their first half at the very beginning on the running, and then they do their second half of the drill at the very, very end on the catching. You can do it once, you can do it twice, similar to the first one. You can kind of set it up however you want, have some fun with it. Maybe you can get the kids running backwards, maybe you can get them shuffling, but it's just a fun little competition to keep the kids kind of running around, moving, and just having a good time doing something competitive with some of their players.